In the world of Formula One, the Hungarian Grand Prix was a weekend that Max Verstappen would rather erase from his memory. The Dutchman, who is known for his aggressive driving style and never-say-die attitude, found himself finishing in a disappointing fifth place. This was a far cry from the expectations set by the upgrades that were supposed to catapult him and his team, Red Bull, back to the top of the standings. Verstappen's frustration was palpable as he engaged in heated exchanges with his team over the radio. The strategy deployed by the Austrian squad, usually spot on, seemed to have missed the mark this time around. This was particularly costly for Verstappen, who has been the main point scorer for Red Bull in both championships. The pressure on Verstappen was further amplified by the close competition from McLaren. The British team has been performing exceptionally well, boasting an overall package that seems to work flawlessly on all circuits. This has raised questions about whether this could be the first warning sign of Verstappen's future with Red Bull. The Austrian Grand Prix was a roller coaster from the get-go. In the very first turn, Verstappen was instructed by his team to relinquish the position he had gained from overtaking Lando Norris off the track. Verstappen believed he was ahead at the apex, but Red Bull didn't want to take any chances. This decision sparked the first of many disagreements between Verstappen and his team. Verstappen vented his frustration over the radio, suggesting that he should start pushing other drivers off the track and then simply ask for the position back. This was clearly a sign of the immense pressure he was under. Even before he had given up his position to Norris, Oscar Piastri was making significant gains on him. Verstappen was unable to keep up with Norris's MCL 38 after letting him pass, further fueling his belief that the package provided by Red Bull in Hungary was insufficient. The tire strategy employed by Red Bull did not work in Verstappen's favor. His team left him out on the track longer than Lewis Hamilton, who was trailing the three-time world champion by about a second during the first stint on the medium tires. This set the stage for a potential undercut, which Hamilton executed to perfection. When Verstappen finally closed the gap, he was reminded of the numerous close calls he had with Hamilton in 2021. This time, the clash occurred during the late stages of the race. Verstappen, having saved enough tires to mount an attack on Hamilton, went on the offensive. However, his aggression got the better of him, leading to a collision with the seven-time world champion at turn 1. In retrospect, Verstappen should consider himself lucky. He escaped the incident without any damage to his car and managed to finish the race in fifth place. The impact could have easily been more severe, potentially leading to a retirement from the race. Despite this, Verstappen blamed Hamilton for moving under the braking zone. Even Gianpiero Lambiase, known for his calm demeanor, seemed to lose his cool with Verstappen. In response to Verstappen's complaints, Lambiase stated that he would not engage in a radio fight with other teams, calling such behavior childish. This came just a few races after Red Bull was accused of being too lenient with Verstappen and unable to stand up to him. Ironically, this incident occurred shortly after Helmut Marko extended his commitment to Red Bull until 2026, indirectly securing Verstappen's future with the Austrian squad. Despite this, Verstappen was clearly unhappy with the team's strategy. When asked to conserve his medium tires during the third stint, Verstappen lashed out over the radio, blaming his team for the strategy that he felt had ruined his race. Before the second pit stop, Verstappen was adamant that the team's strategy had completely derailed his race. This was a surprising turn of events, as Red Bull is usually known for optimizing tire usage in hot conditions. Verstappen expressed his frustration over the radio, stating that it was impressive how his team had allowed themselves to be undercut and ruin his race. The bottom line is that Red Bull was outsmarted by Mercedes and nearly outmaneuvered by Ferrari. Verstappen should be grateful that his clash with Hamilton did not result in a retirement, which would have had significant implications for the Drivers' Championship. In a bizarre twist, McLaren asked Norris to give Piastri the lead that he had gained through no fault of his own. Instead of cutting 7 more points in the Drivers' Championship, McLaren decided to play the long game. The Woking-based squad is now adamant that they have the best package in their hands, one that works on all types of circuits. This is a major concern for Red Bull moving forward. Even though Sergio Perez managed to salvage a good amount of points and finished in 7th place after starting from the back of the grid, McLaren's 1-2 finish has disrupted Red Bull's dominance. The Austrian team now only holds a 51-point lead over McLaren in the Constructors' Championship. The gap with Ferrari is not much larger, with the Italian team trailing by 67 points. With the increased performance from Mercedes, who demonstrated that hot temperatures won't affect their race performance, and George Russell's impressive 8th-place finish after being out in Q1 during the qualifying session, the competition is heating up. During the drivers' parade before the race, Max Verstappen candidly admitted that his team lacked the race pace to compete with McLaren. He suggested that the data being reported by journalists was at odds with the reality within the team. This is particularly concerning given that the current package was expected to be Red Bull's saving grace this season. The comments from Marco were filled with optimism, painting a picture of a race where Verstappen would reign supreme. However, the reality was far from this. Verstappen's P3 start was hampered by the red flag of Tsunoda, just 2 minutes before the end of Q3. Despite this setback, Verstappen failed to show the pace needed to overtake the MCL 38. The championship in the drivers' category is set to become even more intriguing in the coming period. Red Bull has been rapidly caught up by its competitors, a fact that Verstappen warned about during the weekend. He expressed his dissatisfaction with the notion that they've reached the ceiling and no more gains can be found from the RB20. Speaking more broadly on this issue, Verstappen stated, "Not everyone realizes the situation on the team. I think with me, they know that I don't make excuses. I'm always very real. I think some people might need to wake up a little bit." Verstappen's future with Red Bull is now under scrutiny, especially if he wishes to maintain his championship winning streak, which is currently under a massive threat. It's been a while since the Austrian team didn't win in 3 consecutive races, a fact that sends worrying signals for the second seat. When mistakes like this happen from Verstappen's side, there's no second driver who's able to clean up the mess and score high points. With teams like McLaren, Ferrari, and Mercedes, we've seen that close competition brings them a lot of points in the Constructors' Championship, as well as good strategy and positioning while fighting against Verstappen and Red Bull. With all of this in mind, we're likely to have one of the most interesting remainders of the season with the last 9 races. One team that would be extremely happy with the circumstances that have been going on in Red Bull recently is Toto Wolff's Mercedes. The Austrian won't stop in his pursuit of Verstappen, and while he said that he's in the time of his career right now where he needs to be winning races and championships, it's Mercedes' job to prove that they can provide him with the machinery to do so. All of this sets the stage perfectly for Verstappen to leave Red Bull amid their slump in performance. In the previous period, we've been hearing statements from Marco and Horner that the upgrades are coming and they should be significant. But what we see is that Red Bull is no longer the most dominant car, and we might be entering the era of McLaren yet again. The 1-2 finish of the Woking-based squad will definitely awaken the beast in Verstappen at Spa, one of his favorite races. But it seems like this is going to be the race in which he's going to take the 5th engine, which would automatically give him a 10-place grid penalty. Considering that his qualifying form hasn't been the best in the previous period, it's not guaranteed that he would start P11 if he's to take the 5th engine. With Perez's poor performance continuing, at least during the Saturday events, it's definitely all to play for. Do you think that Verstappen's anger was justified? More importantly, do you think that the Dutchman has started to realize that he no longer has the fastest car in his hands? And if it weren't for his driving factor, would the team be a midfield squad at best? We'd love to hear your thoughts on this in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into the world of Formula One and want to stay updated with the latest news, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Keep the pedal to the metal, and we'll see you at the next race.